Just 2 years into its new lease on life under the wing of KTM, Husqvarna has come a long way in a short time, shattering the brand's global sales volume record 2 years in a row. Husky hitched it to the record set during its Swedish heyday, with 16,000 units sold globally in 2014. That figure jumped another 20% in 2015, with 20,500 units sold. The US market garnered 27% of those sales. These magic numbers aren't happening solely because American Husqvarna fans are notoriously nostalgic lot. They're happening because these enthusiasts are confident that leaning on KTM's engineering know-how has spawned the best Huskies ever: straightforward, state-of-the-art products that perform without any of the unnecessary quirks that Husqvarna models experienced under Bavarian ownership. Such is the case with the all-new 2016 Husqvarna 701 Enduro, a big block, do-it-all dual-sport machine that's so much fun it will remind you why you fell in love with motorcycles in the first place. True, the 701 Enduro does indeed borrow heavily from the KTM 690 Enduro R, but it is a mistake to think that the Husky is simply a KTM wearing white, yellow and blue. There are areas where the two machines differ, and some of those differences, such as the 701 Enduro's use of WP's 4CS closed cartridge fork, actually favor the Husqvarna. The engine, however, is the same, and for a good reason. The Austrian-built 690cc, SOC, 4-valve, single is brawny yet smooth. Its large, 102mm bore, short 84mm stroke and 12.6:1 compression ratio contribute to a healthy power output without relying on stratospheric RPM. Husqvarna claims that the 701 produces a maximum of 67 crankshaft horsepower at 7,000 revolutions per minute with 49 pounds-foot of peak torque occurring at 6,500 revolutions per minute. Breathing is handled via a closed-loop canned fuel injection system with a 46mm throttle body that takes air from a front-mounted airbox under the seat. The fuel-air mixture enters the combustion chamber via a pair of 40mm intake valves, while spent gases exit through 34mm exhaust valves. Ignition chores are handled by Ken Engine Management System, EMS, that features a twin spark plug layout with independent ignition curves for each plug. Husqvarna says that the ignition system not only allows the fuel charge to burn more completely for better power production and greater fuel efficiency, but it also helps to smooth the power delivery. Like the KTM, the Husqvarna also offers the rider a choice of 3 power modes: soft, standard or advanced, to tailor the power output to rider preference or riding conditions. The mode can be changed via a small rotary dial located under the seat. We couldn't have asked for a better day or a better location for our introduction to the 701 Enduro, as Husqvarna graciously invited us on a 2-day ride that included 1 day of scouring the serpentine 2-lane roads that lead from Husqvarna's Temecula, California, HQ down to Borrego Springs in the Anza Borrego Desert aboard the 701 Enduro's twin sister, the 2016 Husqvarna 701 Supermoto. Stay tuned for its review next week. Day 2 was then spent gloriously grinding out 130 miles on a different course back to Temecula. With over 70% of the route taking place in the desert, our test group had great fun whooping it up in Anza Borrego's sand washes, fire roads and twisty 2-track trails. Hop aboard the 701 Enduro, thumb the electric starter, and the engine burbles to life with ease. That's partially because the engine features an automatic decompression system on the camshaft that allows the starter to spin the engine over more freely, and partially because the fuel injection mapping appears to be dialed in perfectly. The latter is something you notice no matter how aggressively you roll on the throttle, but there's something else at play here as well. The 701 features a ride-by-wire throttle system that delivers a light and linear feel regardless of throttle position. As you twist the throttle valve is electronically controlled by the EMS, which continuously compares engine parameters with data from various sensors and adjusts the throttle valve as necessary to deliver the right amount of power. There's zero lag, so the 701's throttle response is crisp. At the same time, its large volume muffler tones the thumb from that big 102mm, forged, box-type piston, keeping the exhaust note at a respectable volume regardless of how hard you get on the gas. For the sake of comparison, the 701 sounds more like a Honda XR400 than a Husqvarna FC450 motocrosser, and that's a good thing since strutting lightly has never been more critical to keeping our public riding lanes open. But you won't confuse quiet for a lack of power. Click the 701 Enduro 6-speed transmission into gear, and engage its slipper-style idler power torque clutch, APTC, to get rolling, and that's about the last time you may need to use it while the Husky is in motion. The 701's engine may be relatively new, but it churns out old-school 4-stroke power. A tasty dollop of low-end torque makes it easy to loft the front end, and the 701's broad, flat torque curve keeps it pulling throughout the rev range. There's never any need to flick its light and smooth hydraulically assisted clutch lever except to occasionally control wheel spin when the going gets slick or rocky. In most cases, you can just pick a gear and lug your way up and over any hill or through any rough technical section. Power delivery is seamless, and the 701 is good at maintaining forward momentum in a taller gear than you might think. The engine will always take up the slack if you should need a sudden burst of power even with its polished stock 1545 final gearing. This may be one of the most tractable engines ever devised for dual sport use.